First of all, welcome and greetings to everyone who is here tonight. So I'm told that those of you here have come out of some interest in my book. So my book, in the English translation of my book title is The Great Secret of the Mind.
Great Secret to Mind
So the title is The Great Secret of the Mind. This is to say the book is about the mind. So tonight, in this short time we have, I'll just talk a little bit about the contents of this book. So again, the book is called The Great Secret of the Mind. So generally here, when we're in this context, when we're talking about the mind, or rather the great secret of the mind, we're talking about the great perfection, or what we call the great perfection. So the intrinsic nature, the ultimate reality of mind. When we talk about mind, we can talk about two different kinds of mind. So relative mind and ultimate mind, or we say relative appearing mind and the ultimate nature of mind. So when we relative or appearing mind, with that we're referring to the different types of consciousness. So the five sense consciousnesses, meaning the eye consciousness, ear consciousness, and so on. And in addition, the mental consciousness, what we call the afflicted consciousness, and the all-ground consciousness. So altogether, the collection of 8 different types of consciousness. These are not the ultimate nature of mind, these are rather relative or appearing mind. So generally speaking, we can talk about mind and the nature of mind. Mind and the nature of mind. The nature of mind, the true nature of mind, is primordial wisdom, or we can call it the great perfection. Whereas mind, on the other hand, refers to the afflicted states of the five sense consciousnesses, the mental consciousness, and so on. So whether it be our eye consciousness, ear consciousness, taste consciousness, or mental consciousness, these are afflicted, confused states of mind. They involve subject and object. By that very fact, then they generate or are the nature of the 3 poisons of attachment, aversion, and ignorance. So to what's regarded as, for instance, if we look at the eye consciousness to illustrate this, with regards to what's regarded as like a pleasant object, then attachment arises, an unpleasant object, towards an unpleasant object, aversion arises, towards a kind of neutral object, then indifference or ignorance arises. These are the three possibilities that these various consciousnesses have: attachment, aversion, or ignorance. So all of these consciousnesses are by their nature, by their character, afflicted states of mind. And this goes, we use the example of the eye consciousness as an example, but the same applies to the ear consciousness, the taste consciousness, and so on, the five sense consciousnesses. Then we have the mental consciousness, same applies to that. Then we have what we call afflicted mind, or the afflicted consciousness. That is refers to all of the various conceptual states of mind, which are, the subtle, different subtle afflictions and concepts we have that are also by their nature afflicted, meaning confused. Then we have the storehouse consciousness, or all-ground consciousness. This is where karmic imprints and habitual imprints are stored. So where karma is stored, karma that will then ripen as the experience of future lives. So there's a lot we could say about the all-ground consciousness and these other types of consciousness, but in short, the all-ground consciousness is like a storehouse. So very briefly, these are the various types of consciousness which comprise mind, afflicted or relative mind. These are all dualistic states of mind, and they are therefore deluded, they're confused. And this is what these we call relative mind.
제일 강하다. 저거 셔버스는 주인이 있었는데 주인이 있었는데 가르치겠으나 아마람도 또 무슨 나니마 송샤이도 말 장아이나 또 무슨 간다 공기 있어요. 결국 영각이 있어요. 되게 되네 영각이 대화나 강성선 저거 친구들이 되게 되네 대화도 같이 저려서나 주인이 선기 중에 저거 친구네 선기 중에 접어집니다. 선기 중에 접어진 거래요. 다 조직에서 다시겠죠. 선기 중에 접어진 거네. 리포트 동들기 모라. 리포트 동들기 모라. 고단이 시기 연된 이마당 서신도 등들 매배. 라신기 접배나 접어진 거였어. 접어진 거 시우선 접어진 거 대라 시우선 숨 되게 시우선 숨 참 이렇게 이시나 율럽이 이시니 도르나 사단 람기 시진이가 다게 접어진 거도 접어진 거였어 다른 되게 신비 커버데 가능성은 시 대인은 진짜 시신도 맞아봐 시 있는 거래더니 true하게 되는 셈들라 감동하게 되는 당연히 특별히 원래는 또 그때는 단답하다 되게 이랬었는데 띵득하나 뒤다뒤 강수거였어 간죠 나랑 저기 되네 춘이기 셈세게 가서나 이거 동식이 뭐라 나랑 저기 거기 동식 어서리기랑 되게라 되네 부담이 시기原因데 라신 상대가 됐어 다 들으시기 스타로와 나랑 저기 나랑 저 지하로 뭐 써먹고 나랑 좀 미탐지 길라 대신에 이거는 나랑 좀 이시스는가 되게 좀 깨워라 보다 보다면 좀 유명히 개발을 하면 탐지기 길라 좀 유비기 생겨라 되는 대로시기니 그게 잠시 뒤에 그래서 baş인 거랑 뒤에 봐 대디 그가 대파동식이 올라 구단 이시기 연대에서 꾸마 이시나 알아서보다 탐지 니만은 세신도 배나 니마 요든 니마 요든 니미기 스텔 메킹이 니마 요기 니마 스텔 메킹 요마 이미 직티가 되어 배디나 생기 좀 그리 발고단 시기 연대 영수 소디가 돼 이런 이시에 여와 시기에 있는 뭐고 여와 시기에 있는 모든 바로 그런 신사가 두지고 있을 수 있어요. 이제 천이 보지 마시 바이나 이시나 중이 시내는 신념이 소소리 저기 시신 말이에요. 그냥 유리 고레시와나 지다와 이렇게 비시 진이 바시 저기 네시스 그 지다 진이 시나 단도는 지다기 되는 비디오야. 이제 또 아마도 시고 이게 중이 센티네 저것이 다 하고 보여요.
So, when we say the great perfection, we're talking about ultimate mind. The great perfection refers to the ultimate state of mind, the intrinsic nature of mind, and with what we could say Dharmata, the true nature of mind. As explained in his commentary on the three vows, I think in that text, the commentary on the three vows by Khenpo Yunga, the great perfection is explained as follows. The intrinsic nature of mind is the great perfection. The essence of Ripa, of natural awareness, is empty clarity, within which all of the qualities of the kayas and primordial wisdoms are naturally present beyond meeting and parting, just like the sun and its light rays. Because these kayas and wisdoms are naturally present within natural awareness, therefore it's called the great perfection, because those qualities are naturally perfected or complete within natural awareness. So to elaborate on that, this is to say that the true nature of mind is primordial wisdom, or we could say the true nature of mind is primordial wisdom or natural awareness. Natural awareness in which all of these enlightened qualities are present. If we want to elaborate a little bit, to discuss the nature of primordial wisdom, we can talk about it from various perspectives. We can talk about it from its basic nature, or the perspective of ground luminosity, in which case we can talk about empty essence, luminous nature, and unimpeded compassionate capacity. These are all intrinsic aspects of primordial wisdom, the true nature of mind. We can also talk about it in terms of its characteristics. In that case, we can articulate 5 different types of primordial wisdom: the mirror-like wisdom, the wisdom of equanimity, all-accomplishing wisdom, discriminating wisdom, and dharmadhatu wisdom, those 5. We can also talk about wisdom in terms of the objects, the so-called objects with which it engages. So in that sense, the wisdom that knows the true nature of all things, and the wisdom that knows all things in their multiplicity. All of these different aspects of wisdom, primordial wisdom, are inherent within the true nature of mind. Because of this natural presence or the natural perfection of these qualities, then the true nature of mind is called the great perfection. Confusion comes about. Confusion, meaning relative afflicted mind, comes about when we fail to recognize the basic state, the basic nature of our mind. When we fail to recognize the basic ground of things. This confusion manifests as samsaric mind, dualistic experience. So again, the intrinsic nature of mind, however, is not that samsaric dualistic mind. Rather, the intrinsic nature of mind is a state in which all of the enlightened qualities of the kayas and wisdoms are naturally complete, naturally perfect, hence the great perfection. This is also described as Buddha nature, right? The great perfection can also be described as Buddha nature, the fact that within the minds of all sentient beings is the awakened nature. This is called Buddha nature or Sugata Garbha. This is the basic nature of all sentient beings, no matter what their state, no matter what their status, gender, no matter what type of being they are. This is forever present. This is the basic fiber of their being. That is to say that the true nature of mind of all beings is the great perfection. Just as the quotation I mentioned says, these qualities, the natural kayas and wisdoms, are present within the mind inherently, just like light. In the same way, they're inherent in the sense that they're inseparable from the mind, in the same way that the sun's light rays are inseparable from the sun. You can't have a sun without light rays, without sun rays, and you can't have sun rays without the sun. The two are inseparable, right? Indistinguishable. So such is the true nature of mind. This is what we need to know from the great perfection perspective. This is the intrinsic nature of mind that we need to come to know. Tini
기로와 메바 도진다고 맞아. 디디 그네다 저거치고 그런 게 퀄리티 디디지레스네 토탈 컨설팅은 인마기 유 나라한테 때때기 때문에 저거치고 퀄리티 동바래 저거는 디스트리뷰트 매트리얼 말에 뭔가 근데 저거도 되라 나가라 타다 위라서 뭐 저기 나규여 말에 타다 위기 때문에 수직에 때문에 나 체리 버스가 카르마다 다와 먹고 저도 체에 지금 먹고 야두고요 때 남카세대요 요 남카 타요 남카 가도 남그리고 남카 쇼요 배때나 신지기 남중들이 저거신 것들라 타다 다음 주에 들어와야지 이네 동반이가 저거다 제일 하시죠 이네 동반 남카다 오고서 저거다 동 남카다 오고 지난 신지기 김이와디 라시 오서와 니마다 올라 나한테는 니마 여기서 왜 들어가시려요 배때나 신기 저거신 거랑 좀 이거 유스가 지금 유바지가 되고다 시기 첨바 매화지 싸와이네요 이게 강한 첨바 담지 들어가시게 저저저 배는 니마 여나 왜 유시도 얘들은 좀 이거에는 이 시기에 지금들 하신 것으로 니마다 오시네 쌤 걸고 어떻게 해서 이니 집에 들어와 맨실 따오고서 맨실 지금 시험에 안 가시 이 맨실가 전에 지금 요 말이에요 깨성이래 배때나 신지기 나라서 빨라야 냐고로 치감 뭔가지 되나다. 그럼 밑동사지 세시비 미팅이나 대신 민국이 시가 가게기 기로요. 대신 민국이 하나 두두두게 거리지 냠표 가게요. 디인들 그만 네 거라 말하는 쪽에 네 디게 네 지서버래. 야 지바다 저하면 싫다고 빼장마 통장에 아마서나 제비 시라 지바다 기도에 그요. 디인들 싫다고 근데 본질 탐지 중화 이식이 들었다고 봐. 본질 탐지 중화 이식이 들었으니 강사잖아. 저번 친구 그리고 때문에 맞아 검지하고 있는 그다 이식이 연대 탐지 여러분이 좀 탐탁해. 본질이 이식이 들배. 이식이 들어 뭐 제가 나랑 본질 탐지 중 그래서 딴 거막에 이식이 들어서 내 본질 구중 생각도 별 배제 견적 안 되는 다시. 이런 데서 뭐 그랬다 나한테 랑게 또 만나시 좋고. 배때나 신지가 저번 친구 리포트 때문에 따와도 그 버텨볼 거니 냠서 나와요. 근데 저 내가 구체적으로 상징이 거 하고 싶다고 해도 이식이 들었다고 했어요. 근데 기로하기가 도지다고 도지 특별히 가게서 먼저 도지 파란다 남서 계속 내가 가서 거나. 다이너스가 가서 다 뒤에 도지 파란색 근데 나라도 뒤에 도지 파란 때문에 지시 도지 파란이 잠깐 말했어요. 오늘이 장순 개와 뒤지 되는 리바디 장순 개와 뒤기 봐도 좀 많이 하는데 얘기 이게 배경에 맞다 나랑 저기 배치가 뒤르바디 얘네 도지 파는 차고 그래서 뒤 도지 파는 뒤에 도지 나서 나랑 저다는 나랑 도지 뒤에 가와래 시작이 없다 단순 이걸 봐서 기도 인사해 파 탐제 토르네 솔직히 뇌에 좋네 자꾸 매바 또 매바 카 얘기 매경에서 도지세 이나 신들 남중들이 빠지 뒤나 신세에서 강코 술 딱받대 말씀 기록했다니요 야 걸어와라 끼네 년도 상징이 그방송나 상도도 요어 말에 인디 그 뭐든 또 마치게 하시겠어 도지다고 다디 퀄리티나디 진행 아란중들이 봐 저바신 것들 스테이션에서 다디는 막 토고기도 강해서 그저 저바신 춘익이 장주 있어요 춘익 되게 내세 야 다다서 해나신지 퀄리티 나디 대바디 맞아 먼저 교육을 야 다기 쓰기나 신지 넘버시와 총계 단디 방자 자세 이제 하고는 저거 신국의 베이직 시기 대충해서
such are the qualities of great nature, Sugata Dharma, such are the qualities of the great perfection, the intrinsic nature of mind. In the Nyingma Tantra, the great construct-free luminosity, Ripa is described by means of 5 analogies. So it says that Ripa, natural awareness, which is a synonym for the intrinsic nature of mind, its natural awareness is empty and beyond constructs, just like space. It is naturally luminous, like the sun. It is utterly stain-free, like a pure crystal. It fulfills all wishes, like a wish-granting jewel. It is utterly unchanging, like a vajra. We could say diamond. So here these analogies are describing the intrinsic qualities of mind, meaning the true nature of mind. So let's look at the first analogy. Rigpa, or natural awareness, is said to be empty and beyond constructs, just like space. This is to say that the intrinsic nature of mind is beyond center and edge, it's beyond limit, beyond measure. This is to say that mind is not a material substance, it is not a physical entity. In that sense, the Tantra uses the example of space. So scientists are very into measuring things. They've been able to reach the sun rather the moon and Mars and so on, and to measure those planets and measure many physical entities. But even if scientists were to try to measure the extent of space, they simply wouldn't be able to, because space is beyond center and edge. Space is beyond limit, beyond measure. The mind is just like that. Mind is not a physical thing, so it's beyond, it is simply measureless. Secondly, mind is said to be like the sun in that it is naturally luminous. So wherever there is sun, there is light, right? Likewise, the intrinsic nature of mind, or namely the great perfection, is naturally imbued with luminosity or clarity, or we could say cognizance. This is an intrinsic quality of mind, just like wherever the sun, just like light is intrinsic to the sun. Thirdly, the intrinsic nature of mind is stainless like a crystal, a completely pure crystal that is totally beyond, yet utterly stainless. Natural awareness is just like that, which is to say that even if you fall into hell, into the hell realms for tens of thousands of years, tens of thousands of eons, even if you murder thousands of people, that negativity is not going to sully the true nature of your mind. The true nature of your mind will never be sullied. It can not be touched or tarnished by anything. It is intrinsically pure and stainless, just like a pure crystal. It is never obscured. It can never be obscured. Similarly, the nature of mind is like a wish-fulfilling jewel. The wish-fulfilling jewel is sort of an ancient analogy that is said to be a kind of precious jewel that if you supplicated it, it would fulfill your, if you made wishes before it, it would fulfill your wishes. So the mind, intrinsic nature of mind, is just like that. It's to say that because within the great perfection, the true nature of mind, all of the enlightened kayas and wisdoms are naturally present, because the kayas and wisdoms are the very nature of mind, then because of that natural endowment, if we apply ourselves to the practice of the view and meditation of the great perfection, we can manifest those intrinsic qualities. We can actualize them, make them a reality, so to speak, just like praying to a wish-fulfilling jewel will bring about your wishes. Fifthly, the intrinsic nature of mind is said to be unchanging, like a vajra. We can say vajra, but maybe this we can also use the kind of modern stone, idea of a diamond. The point here is when we say vajra or diamond, we're talking about a stone that is simply indestructible, literally indestructible. Actually, what vajra or diamond is referring to at this point is the bone of someone who has been reborn 7 times successively as a sage, a spiritual seer who has abandoned lying and dishonest speech for many lifetimes. Through the strength of that spiritual practice and virtue, their bones become indestructible, like the nature of a diamond or vajra. So indestructible that even the strongest power in the world, like these days that would be nuclear power, right, can't destroy them, can't break, can't shatter it. So the vajra, what we're talking, the so-called vajra here is said to have 7 qualities, which include being indestructible, unchanging, and so on. This is to say that our natural awareness, the intrinsic nature of mind, is indestructible and unchangeable. It does not change, it does not fluctuate, it does not improve, it does not worsen. So it's not that when you achieve enlightenment, somehow the true nature of your mind improves. It's not that when you wander through samsara, somehow the true nature of your mind is, like worsening in quality. True nature of mind is just indestructible and unshaking. So such are the qualities of the great perfection, meaning the true nature of our mind. This is this true nature of mind that we need to manifest and actualize through practice, through applying ourselves to practice. If we can recognize, if we can be aware, first of all, of what the true nature of our mind is, what the stage of the great perfection is, and at the same time we can recognize that we can recognize what relative mind is, relative dualistic mind, meaning the various afflicted consciousnesses, and we can understand that. Okay, so we can recognize these two things, and we can also understand that the intrinsic nature of mind, the great perfection, is what we need to manifest and make out and actualize, and a relative dualistic afflicted mind is what we need to abandon or dispel. If we can understand these 2 points, then we have a sound foundation for the practice of the great perfection.
यहाँ तिनी लेंगे बस आने आता तो फिर दूसरे दूसरे लेंगे बस शुचिंग को साथ यहाँ दीवार ना तार तो यहाँ दीवार शुचिंग को गेवा दीवार मालूम से ना तिनी गेवा चुप्पा यहाँ लोगे तो होता है गेवा तो दीवार से किन्हीं नंबर सां की विचुची को मासूर सुई नहीं मालूम से का भाषा सुन रही नहीं तिनी गेवा के लिए वाले बिगे वाले ये ती गेवा के लिए ये फिर जो साथी कुछ ही तेरे भाषा सब निशा काम के लिए फिर भी तो ये Quindi ricorda per il più male, quindi qui male sta per giudici che va si che l'idea tanta rotiana che hanno io sempre posso non tarina per mi fanno così io sono posso non per io non voglio giudiare se perché hanno insistito di dire da noi delle mie male mie seguenti delle sono di loro mi che ne lasciare non magari ciao lasso mi che ne per sempre per me che mio mondo c'è che ieri sta che ieri sempre un po' più ma si la so va 오야 저기게 되는 저 사실은 말가 저도라서 저기 뭐 맞다 땡기는 뭐 말아서 이거니 때문에 뭐 좀 맞아서 다 대한세가 말 똑같이 약속만 거들은 용 약속 이 뇌에 이 그가 대대위게 되는 뇌에 ramchungri que tenga yo va recuerden ye nabratago namkatago insewo tete ola nabratagala tene tete tene chaso yo yo mari yene na gongi sheba yigi sheba de so yula tene kenga sheba bema chiro sutto migi sutto yula migi sutto tene sutto sanda me sangi la do jadi ko pe na amro pa jadi ko na jadi sampurta ne ba ta kare til to shasha na to ti yo yul da tene vicini sheba dashi ke ro nala ina smai ne pena sai na to ta to dik meti però to va ka o ma to yul tene pagige però na yul ta di no so de no tene che na so tene yul na vicini sheba ke yo yul mena vicini sheba ke yo in to yul de vicini sheba ti che na ra che ti ha ramchungri quale io ma ramchungri quale ieri na mention da wins la sa mention da wins ne che na io tanti details in che na share ni da na ma buti ja io la ne na ranzo io sempre sono stato anche qui ci sono che ne da ma c'è so da ci in da sono per mi share che sono io le oya ti io da ta ti su tamji ti ne ramchungri chuni che sono che na chuchi che sono chua di io ma per ni io ma 하나라도 당시 취지를 다 하나만 대나 이유상 맞아도 출근 안 되죠. 나도 물론 친구지 안 되죠. 출근 하나만 되죠. 오만 주번 나와 있었어요. 마세 테스트를 수고 지나 수저 님 먹게 되는 대신으로 뒤송다 나라도 오만 주번 나와 있었어. 왜나 나라도 같이 출 나라도 출돼요. 나라도 출근 안 되죠. 출근 같이 출근이다 되고 이동도 안 되고 이동 출근 가도 미기 통화할 때는 좋아하면서 아무튼 고기를 때는 좋아하면서 나도 특별히 좋아 말했어. 맞아 디스이거 맞아 메시지게 당원 얘기 사이언스 전부 소리 어떤 마이크로소프트 때나 뭐기 통주도 마이크로소프트 때나 뭐기 통주도 뒤도 가 유스 제기 그룹 뒤치기요 돼. 얘나야 뒤기 그룹 차려. 빨리나 미기 쑥 통기 미게 말로 미마도 쑥 통도 저기 나와. 쑥 세계 통고 말에 나시기 수통도 말에 제시기 수통도 말에 수통에서 미. 딱 미기 때는 내가 수도 좀 쳐요. 다 말아서 사이언티스트가 나한테 맞으러는데 사이언티스트 따로 미칠 때 야셔도 마이크로스코프에 추주서 통고에 통주미랑 미만 통고요. 딱 이래때 나랑서 밀람 나와. 내가 오면 주고 나치 손도 챈 나. 내가 남동도 알고 배다가 다음에 이렇게 남동도 가다가 제가 좀 나가도 남동도 생기길 얘네 또 탐색세 마음이 찌냐면 뒤도 밑에가 좀 돌아 그래 아니 생각 야들 나라 이제 막 찾고 Yatene garden yabu, chu yabu, metal yabu, Timashim Bonasari, Mini to Dewi, make you a Gaza go, around it or them did the stage, our Narutia, because the Milan, how we get in it, do you think us to the children you heard? Don't do your eyes. Sand a moon, deep told in Muna, the water rocks on the station, meet them there to grow 2,000 gold per share. Chat on tongue. You can't. Milan true still. Oh, you teach you what in nothing, and then didn't get enough. Master did it, super, you simply did not suit you in days. You see, we never to your eyes. But around to drag onion, last of all, the printer, the budget today with the whole day ago. And you can follow the rest of the American and Tashish, that did do thing on the sun to your day. Don't put it as a sign of some giving the government that the government and Shikoron was to Tom just in a middle bit now, and I think it being so down to each other. Did you know? True us in the suggestion that you and then around my gift, Toshaki, true, Shedan Gelido, true. Nothing to support the America, where the United Family Chamus, Kansana, Zabuli Shucha America, Power Shisha America, Yakamyasha America, section to say, this again is a new time to get another count the instant good. Those things are true. Truly want to try. You don't know who should tell you to do, but Tamanam, Taman, or they do not, this is the true, deep time to be true, and those one is not yet. The same is unique from the good. Unique from the level Jevicheto, then Tabu Hapo, then Tawa Hapo, and go by Yunjan, go by Yunjan, Java shooting, or Java Johnson Jews of police. And then you love on the back of you. Do not have much about the issue to say, that is like you got a couple of the lecture one time.
So in short, we have very little time. So we have very little time. So in short, I'll just we have relative mind. To reiterate, right? We have relative mind, which refers to the collection of 8 consciousnesses, dualistic consciousnesses. We also have ultimate mind, meaning the true nature of mind. The true nature of mind is endowed with the qualities that I just explained, right? The kayas and wisdoms and so on. So first of all, we need to understand that relative mind, the 8 consciousnesses, these 8 dualistic consciousnesses, these are confused states, and they have no basis and no real establishment, no real existence. We experience relative mind, but that does not mean that it really exists, that it has any real grounding or basis. So to run through these 8 types of consciousnesses and distinguish them from the intrinsic nature of mind, we'll start with the all-ground consciousness. The all-ground consciousness fluctuates, it changes over time, depending on the amount of virtuous. I explained that the all-ground consciousness is like a storehouse, right? Depending on the karma you create, whether it be virtuous or non-virtuous, positive or negative. And when we talk about virtue and non-virtue, these are not just like Buddhist or religious concepts. There is, naturally positive and negative or wholesome and unwholesome actions. So whether you're Buddhist or not, the actions you create have, a virtuous or non-virtuous nature. So depending on the karma that you're creating, then varying amounts of virtuous versus non-virtuous seeds or imprints are planted within this all-ground consciousness. And that causes the nature of the all-ground consciousness to fluctuate, right? If there's a majority of non-virtuous like imprints, then the all-ground consciousness is going to take on that color, so to speak. And if then things change and you create more positive karma, then the color of the all-ground consciousness is going to shift. So all-ground consciousness is sort of by its very nature fluctuating and changeable. In contrast, the true nature of mind is changeless. It never fluctuates, it never changes. It's beyond increase, beyond decrease. So this is an important distinction. All-ground consciousness fluctuates. The intrinsic nature of mind does not. If you want to learn about this, read about this in more detail, I do talk about it in much more detail in my book. Also in the great treatises of the great master Longchenpa, like his trilogy of the Nuksim, the innate nature of mind, which I hear now translated in English. In those treatises, Longchenpa goes into this in a lot of detail. Okay, now we have the afflicted consciousness. This refers, simply speaking, to the afflicted states of mind and afflicted concepts. So the Abhidhamma teachings identify 51 mental states, 51 afflicted mental states, 5 root poisons, attachment, aversion, ignorance, pride and jealousy, and so on, and actually hundreds of other afflicted states of mind. All of these comprise what we call the afflicted consciousness. In contrast, natural awareness, or the intrinsic nature of mind, is forever and primordially free of affliction. It is utterly pure. It is beyond affliction, untouched by affliction. So that is a distinction. We also have the 5 sense faculties, right? Or rather, the 5 sense consciousnesses. So the consciousness of sight, the eye consciousness that perceives visual objects, the ear consciousness that hears sound, and so on. So we have our sort of sense faculty, the eye, for instance. When the eye comes into contact with a visual object, that generates the eye consciousness. Likewise with the ear, likewise with the nose. Say you like there's some incense. When your nose comes into contact with that incense, that scent, so the object, your nose faculty comes into contact with its corresponding delight. When the subject, the nose faculty comes into contact with its corresponding object, the scent of the incense, then the corresponding consciousness, the smell consciousness, is generated, right? These five sense consciousnesses are dualistic consciousnesses, right? They're comprised of object, subject, and corresponding corresponding awareness of that perception, that meeting of subject and object. In this way, they are consciousnesses that arise and then cease. They are triggered by the contact between object and subject, and when that contact ceases, then the triggered consciousness ceases. In contrast to this arising and ceasing nature of the 5 sense consciousnesses, natural awareness, meaning the intrinsic nature of mind, is beyond arising and beyond sensation. It is not something produced, it does not come into being, it does not cease. It's beyond arising and cessation. In this way, it's like a pure crystal, just unsullied by arising, cessation, or change. So that's yet another distinction. So this, again, you can learn about in much more detail in the great treatises of masters like Jin Yinpa, his Treasury of Precious Qualities, and Longchenpa's Treasury of the Supreme Vehicle, and so on. The point is that the intrinsic nature of mind is beyond confusion, whereas relative mind is by nature confused. You might think, okay, well, if that's really the case, why do we even experience confusion? You know, if the true nature of mind is beyond confusion, how is it that we find ourselves in a confused, deluded state? Well, this confused, deluded state is merely an appearance, an experience. It actually has no real basis. It's no more real than a dream, than a magical illusion. In his introduction to the Middle Way, the Master Chandrakirti, to paraphrase the lines from Shipoji, the Master Chandrakirti says, you know, we think, or rather what ordinary beings think, that their sense perceptions are valid. We think that simply because we perceive something, whether it be a visual perception, sound perception, smell, or what have you, we think that just by virtue of the fact that we perceive it, therefore it's real. We think that somehow our perception kind of validates or is evidence of existence. And then if we challenge this assumption, some people might point to modern science and say, oh, but we know, actually, like, our perception of objects does have a basis, because, you can look at the object that we see, say, this table under a microscope, and we can see atoms, the atoms that make up this object. But actually that's not genuine proof of the validity of something at all. Just perceiving something doesn't mean it exists. And also this, modern science perception of atoms only relates to visual perceptions, right? And we have many other different types of perception. To use an example to illustrate the nature of confusion, we have the example of a dream, right? It's the analogy of a dream. Let's say it's the middle of the night, and we're in the middle of the lunar month, so there's no moon in the sky. So yeah, there's no moonlight, completely pitch black. It's the middle of the night, so the thick of darkness. You get into bed, there's no electric light, all the lights are off. You get into bed, you close your eyes, moreover you pull your blankets over your head, pitch black, right? You then fall into sleep. There's absolutely there's no light here, right? There's no light. You are now asleep. And then after some time you begin to dream. In your dream, it's the middle of the day. The sun is shining. You can see you're in a garden, a very beautiful garden. And oh, there's someone you know. You meet your friend. How lovely. You start talking. There's honey. You taste the honey. It's so sweet. You really experience the sweetness. And so on and so forth. You experience everything, right? You experience form, sound, smell, taste, touch, everything. Viscerally, directly. But then you wake up and everything just disappears in a second. It's gone. And none of the experiences you had in the dream have any basis. There's nothing you can point to. Those experiences have no basis, no reality. Our waking reality, so the quotation from the introduction to the Middle Way by Chandrakirti continues to say, so we think sense perceptions are real simply because we experience them, but this is totally confused. Rather, our sense perceptions are just like dreams. Our waking experience is no different from a dream. That's a very loose translation, but the point is that our waking experience is literally no different from a dream. Literally, it is a dream. We think that right now we're sitting here in this bookstore together, this is really happening, we're in this place called Colorado, which is a state in the United States, and maybe the United States is the greatest country in the world. We think all of this is real, but actually, in the future when you reach enlightenment, you will realize that none of this exists at all. It's not established, it doesn't exist, never actually happened. When all of our appearances at that point are purified into the basic space of awareness, the intrinsic nature, you'll come to realize that the fallacy of your experiences, your appearances. We have all these notions, right? Our experience is comprised of these notions of reality and existence. First of all, we think I exist, me, I exist, I have a certain identity, certain characteristics. I'm a citizen of this and that country, the country exists, the nation exists. Our experience is made up of just one emotion after another, right? Different emotions of different kinds. But all of these experiences are simply confusion. They are confusion, and they are the result of confusion. So our entire experience, waking and sleeping both, is simply the result of confusion, manifestation of confusion. When through practice we reverse, we undo this confusion, we can arrive back in the intrinsic nature, the true nature of things. How to undo this confusion that makes up our relative experience? Well, in order to undo our confusion, we first of all need to ascertain the view, meaning the way things really are. So to really come to understand the way things are, and to arrive at a deep felt certainty in that. That's what we refer to as, that's what we mean by the view. Once we've ascertained the view, then we train in maintaining that state of certainty through meditation. That's what's meant by meditation, maintaining the view. Then we enhance and support that meditation through conduct, what's called conduct. And through that process, we can arrive at the result, meaning we can manifest the result, which is to say, we can arrive back at our true nature.
Tegi dine da peche tebi yonsu zobi ki tuzun de wuri tina wa sanwa raba yin dine tegi dine tola nyamne ya bu jiu san de dikla tari na gom khali kya wadu khali kya tawa de tire tada ke sem ki chuni sekin te tagi zoba chimbi nesha tere chujin ki sem sekin te sem chuwa tere sem chuwa de chuni ki sem tona shik gore tang gore ti tawa re ti tangor chewalo gom kya gore gom de tine yakuz kya pang dine she she ti gom kya gore ti gom kya na Ransing ki chopa sambu, ransing ki semba sambu, ransing ki ningche chimbu, ransing ki tepa chimbu. Ni chapa, chaso nyamo wa tamji ki duba ruma na dhulu ki chapa, di chewa yakbu re, gomi yakbu jebi tabre. Di dhiko chewa katoyo chi na ya, rangi chaso nyamo wa chero, ibu chero, nga sekin mamdu dhuyo na, di chewa yakbu ma re, gomi yakbu chimo ma re. Di chewa sekin gomi yakbu chimo ki tabre la semba kitni, nami na, ngonye ki chi, kawaii na kui yang tenge suda tina ya chi ngone zumli ito jiyo na di chewa yaku chi kero gomde yaku jiyo taare mingje chero dro, likde li che chero, lama la tepala chero dro dine rangi dangzin da dine yang chundu dro kari che na yang mintu jiyo mekin chuku yo na dik tiken, tangu yo na dik tiken, top yo na dik mena yang dik tiken chasam kamayi na kui yang bo che chao yu di zoba chi kui yang lende yaku jiyo taare The deal that they are sharing, the number of children at this level, any great secret from minds again, the name to this Jerry, the Karma Julius, the bond that they number Karma issue. So to what is the Karma issue, you mean to pay Karma Julius, I can about Gerard Legina, the caricature unity now.
So in short, that is the very condensed presentation of the content of my book, The Great Secret of the Mind. That's basically what it's about. The view and meditation and so on of the great perfection. So, like I said, first of all, we need to ascertain the intrinsic nature of the mind, the true nature of mind, which is the great perfection, right? That's what we mean by the great perfection. We ascertain this through the view. We need to undo, so to speak, or unravel relative mind, which is confused state. We do that also through, we begin to do that by ascertaining the view. This view we then habituate ourselves with, cultivate, or deepen through meditation, the process of meditation. And if we practice correctly and well on this path of the great perfection, the result will be that even in the short term, our negative emotions will wane, will become less afflicted, less stirred up by emotions. Our ego clinging and sense of self will loosen, will become increasingly more open and carefree, more spacious, easygoing. These are all signs of a good practitioner, or signs of one's practice being on track. If on the other hand we find that our practice is not actually helping to reduce our negative emotions, it's not helping to reduce our sense of ego, not helping us to become more carefree and open, that's a sign that something is wrong, right? So signs of genuine practice, of practice being on track, are that you just naturally become increasingly more open, more spacious, more carefree, your compassion increases, your faith increases, your attention to karmic cause and effect increases, your trust in, your ego clinging decreases, you become very content, whether you're rich or poor, whether things go your way or not, whether you're respected or not. It doesn't matter to you, you're just very content and carefree. These are all sure signs of genuine practice of the great perfection, signs that you're going in the right direction. So this was just very brief. We have very little time tonight, and I've run over time, I know, so I'm sorry about that. I've gone 10 minutes over time. There was meant to be about 20 minutes for Q&A, but now maybe we have just 10 at most. So we can spend a few minutes on Q&A if people have questions. Put your hand up if you have a question.
Okay, please.
You spoke tonight about sensory perception, sight and smell, etc. A lot of people lost their sense of smell during COVID. Is that something we should look to try and regain, or does it not even matter?
So if something's gone wrong with your sense faculty, it doesn't really matter. I guess if a doctor can fix it, then why not get it fixed? Then it's like a city, getting your nose fixed, your sense of smell fixed. But in terms of Rigpa, natural awareness, it makes no difference at all. Whether the nose faculty is impaired or not does not affect Rigpa. So from that perspective, it really doesn't matter.